The Mushroom Cult Podcast. That's this one. That's the podcast that you're actively listening to / watching, hopefully. It's not like I don't know exactly who's watching it, because I'm like the god of this podcast. No. But no, hopefully you're enjoying it. Hopefully you're enjoying your winter, your Tuesday so far. It is Monday, the usual recording day. Since we've kind of figured this out, we're hitting our stride here with the new schedule. I love it. So we can get some shit done on Mondays and get back to bugging people more on being on shows and shit. So, welcome to Comedy Mushroom Cult Podcast. I'm your host, Ray Roberts. We're not going to do therapy podcasts this week, because who wants to? Who really wants to? We'll talk about a few things, therapy related, we'll say, but it's not going to be a therapy podcast. But there's no way around it. It has been, winter has just came all over the face of Wisconsin this last week, and I understand that is a pretty gross analogy, but I mean, there's no other way to put it. I mean, it's just cold and frosted all over the fucking state of Wisconsin, all over the Midwest, honestly, and it's heading east. The poor people in Tennessee have had to shut things down because they had like a dusting of snow, when it's just a very fun outlook on life. And I've never been more ready to leave the state than I am this year. Every year that I've been here, it's Wisconsin's gorgeous, and I love the state. I think we talked about it before. It's the people that ruin it, and that's perfectly fine. We're not going to harp on it, but like this stretch from like January through February, when the Weather Channel, when you look at it, it's like, why the fuck are you even checking? It's going to be cold now until that stupid gopher in Pennsylvania comes out. Like, we need one here where like some sort of barometer of how long it's going to be cold. Like, I was afraid I was watching a bird die of hypothermia on my back porch this morning because it's wet somehow. It is currently, I will give you a reading of the weather according to the Weather Channel, even though I just said they say not to look like it. Look like a man. It is -6 currently. Partly sunny. It's actually kind of a beautiful day. That's the thing that's like the worst part about this weather right now is like, even in snow, Wisconsin's fucking gorgeous. I don't hate the snow. The snow is perfectly fine. It plays its part, right? There cannot be a summer without winter. There cannot be light without darkness, right? We can all agree on that. But it starts snowing at about like 32 to 35 degrees out, because it's colder up in the atmosphere. Brr, it's cold out here. There must be something in the atmosphere, right? This is how we learn things from Step It Up. What's the movie that I'm thinking of? The cheerleading one. Claire Danes, not Claire Danes. I don't even have the right person. It's got fucking Dwayne Wade's wife, who's like more famous than him, but I can't remember her name right now. The Clovers. I remember the cheerleading team, the Clovers, over the name of the movie and who stars in it. Okay? That's where we're at this morning. But no, it's so cold. It is, did I say the temperature? It's fair. It's -6 out right now. The high today? The high temperature of today. Are you guys ready for this? -1. That's the high today. Okay? Right now with the wind chill, the real feels -23. That's too cold, right? We can all agree that that's too cold. I saw some people who were on the road with Charlie Barron's, the Midwest's crown jewel, Charlie, and I did, like, even if that sounds like it's dripping with any disdain at all, God bless. I love, I've met him a couple of times. We're not buds. I know his brother. I did a show with his brother, Johnny, if you've known him for a few years, I guess. I met him as Johnny. He's now, like, an adult and, like, his own person and goes by John. But, like, it still slips out from time to time. I'm not going to tell anybody about his life. But I know John way better. I'll tell a story about John Barons. John Barons, before, he is the sweetest man ever. And, like, this is what, like, the Barons family and Charlie Barons, again, I don't know their family very well, but, like, it's a Wisconsin family. And if you're in Wisconsin and you do comedy and you see the name Barons, you know Charlie Barons, right? If you're just some fucking white lady in Indiana, you know who Charlie Barons is. I don't know if he's been on Bob and Tom, but like if Charlie Barons went on Bob and Tom, then like it would bring terrestrial radio back. I don't even know if Bob and Tom's still on the radio. It has to be somewhere. I still know about him. I grew up with him. But like one of the first times I went up to Skyline, which is an hour, it's only an hour and a half from Milwaukee. But like before I knew Johnny Barons or John Barons, he's like, again, I would no slight at all. I want everybody to know that I love Johnny Barons, and I don't love Charlie Barons. I like Charlie Barons. He's been nice to me every time I've talked to him and have met him. I don't know him personally. He's very successful for making funny videos online, and I love it. Okay, because he's actually funny and he's good at stand-up as well. But the videos really kind of took off. So that's how people know him, as like the Midwest Wisconsin guy. But Johnny Barons, like if you meet him in a vacuum, he can be a bit much, especially the first time you meet him and you don't know who he is. So like one of the first times of being up in Skyline, when he lived up in that area instead of in Milwaukee, he offered for me. He's like, hey, I live right around the corner, and I don't know him. Like I had talked to him, I said hello. I'm bad at like introductions anyway. Like either we click right away or we don't, and it like takes some time to like warm up to each other. And that's a me thing. That's not anybody else. It's completely me. I'll find who I click with and I'll stick to them, so I don't have to work so hard to make friends. But otherwise, it's an uphill battle sometimes because I'm me and other people are other people, and they're not used to this animal coming right at them. But Johnny like came up to me and he was like, hey, if you ever need a place to stay after this mic, you could stay at my place. And he is like a very soft-spoken person. Like if I didn't, like I know him now and know it's not true, but like meeting him the first time, he could be autistic. I was like, I don't want to stay at this weirdo's place. I don't even know who he is. And he offered me to stay there. And that's like a relatively, I'm a stranger in his life as well. And he offered for me to stay at his house after an open mic, which, I mean, you don't know what kind of animals you're offering that to. So, shout out him. Like that's how nice and how good the Barons family are, is that like the one who isn't the famous one offered me to stay at their apartment just after an open mic. Now obviously the famous one wouldn't. I mean you wouldn't just be finding another random open micer. So like it's a very nice thing. And I just did a show with him over the weekend. But like I forget why we got started on Charlie Barron. Oh, he was like touring in like North or South Dakota, and one of his openers posted that it was like -10 out and they didn't have heat in the green room. So they're just like freezing in the green room. And like they're all bundled up in coats and shit. And like I don't know if there's such a thing as child abuse for comedians. But if there is, somebody needs to file a complaint with Comedians Protective Services, CPS, Comic Protective Services. So it's too cold. Like it doesn't need to be this cold. It can be this beautiful, but it is frosted with a nice. To go back to my original analogy here, it is frosted white. Like none of us here have ever watched a pornographic film on the internet. Not even once. We are God-fearing men and women. No, there's no sorts of in-betweens there. No non-binary. Not on this podcast. There are two genders. You are either XX or XY. That's scientifically. We believe in science on this podcast. But like, especially my stupid Adopt a Pet hoodie, where I'm like, charitable and like fucking stupid. That'd just be like that's always whatever. We'll get to it at some point. Maybe, I don't know. We're bopping around here. But like I don't know. We've never watched pornographic films, but like like the mean ones where they like maybe take them in a bus or something, and then they use this poor woman who's like obviously getting paid. It's all part of like the storyline. Port. It's all poured at the storyline. Welcome to the Philly podcast. But like they use this poor woman. She just wanted a ride to like work or something. Like she was walking along. It was a hot Miami day, and then she gets in this van, and then people start showing her their genitalia, and she's like, well, I could use a couple $100. And then they just use this poor lady and then just like cover her body and face in excretions and then kick her out on the road. That's what we look like right now. They didn't even give us a rag to clean up, right? Like the city of Waukesha just used and abused us. Let winter just frost us with a nice glaze of white, fluffy weather excretions, and then just let us sit here with it in the cold by ourselves, and just has thrown our clothes at us and was like, fucking figure it out. That's what Wisconsin winter is right now. It's too cold. It needs to stop being so cold. It can't be this cold. It just doesn't make sense. And it's one of those like, oh, you've never experienced anything until you've experienced Wisconsin winters. Sure, I get cold in Ohio. It's been cold everywhere. But like I'm done with it. And yes, we're moving to Chicago. So like it's going to be cold down there too. And I'm going to bitch about it there too. But like it's not going to be like this for fucking 2 straight months like it is here. And it's they lied. They said that we had an El Nino winter coming where it was going to be like warmer temperature and like less snow and shit like that and less everything. And it was until last week, and then it just decided that like No Nut November was over for winter. It held out through December. It was like No Nut holiday season, and then it was just like, here you go, it's all been backed up, you get the whole winter right now. So now like we had to dig out Ashley's car the other day. I have to dig out my car today. It's gonna be dead. Like the battery's gonna be dead because it's been negative degrees out for 4 days in a row. My car's under possibly a foot of snow. Like I went out there, I haven't tried to start it. So like I don't know what I'm gonna be dealing with after I record this. I have to go out there and dig it out. I have to work tomorrow. That's been one of the cool things. Where I work now, we get snow days, and if Waukesha Public Schools is canceled, that's one of the good parts of like the city not giving a fuck about taking care of its citizenry. Is if school closes, then my work closes. So I worked 2 days last week and got 2 whole days of free money. So like, shout out my work. No green drink today. It's not time for green drink yet. The morning is for hydration. Green drink's usually later in the day. But today I'm drinking out of my Don't Be a Salty Bitch coffee mug that my friend Jen Sitko got me for either Christmas or my birthday at some point within the past 7 years. And it is it's like the chick from like the Salt thing, and it says "Don't be a salty bitch." And I'm drinking orange juice out of it. That's the cool thing about coffee mugs is like, yes, historically they're for coffee, but whoever decided that you can drink whatever in it and then just pass it as coffee is a genius. Like I'm drinking orange juice out of it. When I was selling cars, I had a special coffee mug that I would make Irish coffees in at like 5 in the afternoon. That's when we would start drinking. We would have like little tiny bottles of Jameson in the manager's desk. So then we would throw one of those in there, go back to the coffee machine, brew a Keurig cup into it, and then we would finish out the last couple hours of the day. It was nice. Doing paperwork while a little toasty is a good time. But yeah, so you can drink whatever out of a coffee mug. All right, we're bouncing around enough today. Oh yeah, see, so I dialed back on one of my meds, so I've been starting to do lists again, because I kind of have to. Like, I'm in a better spot with it. I feel like a little bit more loose, a little bit more free, on like the half dosage, and I'm like still up on my meds, and I take them every day, and they're what I take to function correctly. Shout out pharmaceuticals. Except for the ones that they force on us and take all of our government money and then keep all the profits themselves. That's the shady part about the COVID vaccine nobody wants to talk about. But regular pharmaceuticals, if used correctly, can be very beneficial to people's lives. So I'm not against the pharmaceutical companies overall. Just how they operate and how they steal money from us and kind of run all aspects of our lives and tell us we have to take their tests and their medicines and their vaccines, and then they have money to do commercials and give all of their top people raises and whatnot. But like, don't give back the funding to our government. That's like just in utter disarray all the time because of lacks of money. And I still have to pay for fucking healthcare and college and et cetera, et cetera. But so like it makes me, so I have to do lists more, but like I have to get better at doing lists again. I'm like out of practice of doing lists. So like my lists, I took a screenshot of one. It's still the same list. I don't know why I took a screenshot of it, but like I have my to-do list, and like they're always like super vague. And I know what they mean now after thinking about it for a weekend, but I took a picture of it a couple of days ago because I was like, my to-do list is figure out tax laws / financial stuff. That's one of them. Not like I know it's for like comedy and like how to file taxes and whatnot on it, because like, not to brag, I'm making enough money where I have to put it on my taxes now. Shout out Uncle Sam. Text interchange, but like if I just put figure out tax laws and financial stuff, what the fuck does that mean to a normal person? Text interchange, that I got a text to the spot, that's been on my list for 2 months. All right. And then the last one, NASA chip to Saturn. Now, I don't know what the fuck that means, right? And I had to look it up. Apparently they're sending some sort of chip to one of Saturn's moons, and like you can put your name on the list to be like engraved on it of like a hello from Earth. So I don't know. I think that's what it has to do with it. So like that's what I want to be part of. I don't know why. I think it'd be cool. Like it's not going to be anything. Like remember when they shot what was like the first Hubble? Was it not Hubble? That's the telescope. What's that satellite that they just like shot through the universe, and it's like past, like it's out of our solar system now. But they put like the gold disc on it with like the man and woman and like all the noises and all that shit. Like that'd be cool to have been on that, like if an alien finds it. But I don't know, like I feel like we would have found the aliens on Saturn at this point. But I don't know, it'd still be cool to do. But yeah, I don't know. I've had to go off of my lists more. But yeah, so the worst part of the cold is the winter storm that came through on Friday. Yes, it would have been Friday. Thursday night, Friday. Thursday night, Friday all day, and then like Saturday morning. But like we already knew work was canceled at like 4 on Thursday, so like I knew that I didn't have to work Friday. That was cool. And then so came home, have fun, just stayed up late, slept in Friday, hanging around. Then we had to like go clear off the cars a little bit. I don't even know if we left the house Friday because it wasn't that bad early, but it was pretty bad. Like there's a good amount of snow. But like the power kept flickering because the power goes out here like all the time. And so we're just like, great. Like when the power goes out, we don't get hot water, so we can't take showers. And then the heat goes out as well, which it's not like our heat isn't electrical heat. Like I don't have to pay for it. It's like that forced heat, but the thermostat runs off of electricity. So like if the thermostat's not working, then the heat's not going to pump out. So that sucks. So all day we're kind of worried about it, getting ready, making sure everything's charged, making sure everything's good. So we at least have phones and whatnot. And then we make it through the day, and then we go to bed at like 9:30, 10 o'clock. Watched Saltburn, which was insane, but it was good, I guess. I don't know if I'll ever have to watch it again. It hasn't stuck in my mind like The Black Swan has been stuck in I just watched it a few weeks ago, and it's been stuck in my head. But Saltburn is like a similar-ish movie. It's not like whatever. But like we watched that, went to bed, and then the power goes out at like 11. And it had been like flickering all night up until that point, but then it just like is out. And then you wake up, usually like you'll wake up and the power will be back on because they're usually pretty diligent of it. But it was like out everywhere in southeast Wisconsin for like a while. Like all of Waukesha was out. And it was out from like 11 p.m. Friday until like 2 p.m. Saturday. So it was like a solid, what is that math wise, 15-hour run with no power, and it was like 20 degrees out, so it's starting to get cold in here. But like all of our appliances are electric, so like we couldn't cook anything. You couldn't even like boil water or anything, and all the water coming out was cold. So like it sucked. And then like yesterday was like in the negatives. So like if it would have made it till yesterday, it would have been so fucking cold in here. Like I was looking at hotels to go to. Like that's how fucking cold it was. And it needn't be that cold. But yeah, then Saturday power came back because like the biggest thing is I had a show in Sheboygan on Saturday night. Which like every single show was very important. It was Johnny Barons. He booked me to work it. Found out I was headlining it. I heard I might be like at least co-headlining it. But apparently I headlined it, so that's good for me, I guess. And so I wanted to like shower beforehand, be comfortable. So I was like looking for hotels, and I didn't want like the cats to be cold or the girlfriend to be cold. Like we didn't want to like leave the house in disarray. So like let's put them in a hotel for a night. It turns out hotels, even though they are pet friendly, if they are pet friendly, they make you pay an extra $100 per pet. That's a refundable deposit for like cleaning. So like a hotel room for a night, I found one for like $100, which like cool, whatever. Don't want to spend $100 just for one night, but like it's worth it to keep everybody in my house warm and comfortable for a night and have like entertainment and be able to relax as much as possible. I mean, moving the cats to a hotel room for a night would not be the most fun for them, but it can. You can do it, but it wouldn't have been great. But I'm not paying $300 for that. They can be cold for $300 for a night, and literally like a half hour later, the power came on. So I'm very, very happy I didn't spend that money. But then got to get ready and drive to Sheboygan, and it was a show. I mean, it's Sheboygan, Wisconsin. It's a good room. I had a great time. Again, by no means am I like shitting on it at all, but like 13 people were there, and needed some orange juice. It's one of my fun lines to do anytime that there's not that many people, and I have to drive an hour in the snow. And like Sheboygan has Waukesha's similar mindset when it comes to cleaning their roads. Like they'll pretend to care. Like they'll try to a certain point, and then they're just like, fuck it. We don't, like we showed up. We drove down your street with the snowplow. We didn't try to plow anything, but we made you see that we have one. It could be the same one. It's just one that they drive between here and Sheboygan and don't actually do anything with it. But like, so like I lead off with like, hey, next time let's just make this a text message. Like I can be just as funny over text message as I'm gonna be right now. And I had like a killer set, and it was one of the most random arrays of people there of all times. Like a 60-some-year-old lady with blue hair. A lady was there with her younger daughter. Like they were hammered because it was like one table of 6 right in the middle, and then like people on the periphery, and then the bartenders. And so like you have to address the people in the middle because like they're just being chatty. And Johnny came up to me at a certain point. He's like, how do I stop this? And I was like, it's too late now. Like if you like shut them down, then there's 90% of the crowd, or at least half of it, that's like pissed off. So like I go up there and just like bring them back in and have fun with them and do a show and get paid a couple bucks. But it's like it's just a very funny thing that like Tennessee right now, like Zanies is shut down, and I'm sure that they're going to get more snow, but like they put pictures up this morning of like, oh, here it comes. And it was like a light dusting. And I know Nashville's not fucking Milwaukee or Sheboygan, but like, I don't know, maybe like learn how to drive in a little bit of snow. It's not like we have like Ashley's got just the regular all weather tires on her car, and it was perfectly fine. To drive to Sheboygan and back. So like just figure out how to drive Tennessee. I don't know. But no, that's about all I have on that Sheboygan show. It was fine. I mean, I was in a real shitty mood when I got there because of like the snow and the cold, and so it was like a nice venting set. It was like a very fun. I almost wish I would have recorded it. Like, there's no reason to have recorded it because there was nobody there. Like, I audio recorded it, obviously, but like there was a guy who turned out to be a gay gentleman of like some sort of mix of people I've never seen before. I thought he was like part Asian, but like the closer he got, I think he was just like super Wisconsin white trash. But he also happened to be a gay gentleman dressed like a pimp for absolutely no reason. Like, it was like, hey, we're going to a comedy show. Let's get dressed to the absolute nines. He had like sparkling diamond shoes. I'm sure they were fake. He had a fedora. He had like a fucking boa on, and not like an ironic, we're going out and partying boa. Like a legit, like this was part of the outfit boa. And it turns out he was in jail for a while. Like, it was just a year. But when he was 18, he started a fire, like, and he got charged with like arson and attempted murder. Like, I don't know how it came up. Like, jail came up somehow. And he was talking, like, he left the room that the show was in after the show was done to come back and show us pictures of him of when he was 18 before he went to jail. It turned out to be a sweetheart of a guy. 35 years sober off drugs, but had like a fucking pint glass full of whiskey on him. But I mean, and not every, like, I have weed, like everybody's got their vice, but like for whatever reason booze don't snag him, but regular pills and other shit did. Or I don't know if he was on coke or whatnot. But imagine being like gay and 18 in Sheboygan and like starting like just trying to light somebody's house on fire. Like, I need to sit down and have like that's who I need to interview the next time I have a guest on the podcast. But no, so it was just a wild crowd. It was a wild time. It was cool hanging out with everybody and having a fun time. But then yesterday, just like day 2 or 3 or 4 of however this fucking snowstorm, I was like angsty and just listening to Linkin Park all morning. And it's like they have their perfect spot. Like, it's their music is made for moments like that. Like, just like real good, like guttural scream with like some like people ain't shit rap behind it. I hate your feelings. I hate the feelings that you make me feel shit behind it. Like, Linkin Park fucking rips. And they're not going to be the song today. But, because I had my Linkin Park yesterday. But I was like getting ready to journal because I've been journaling lately. It helps me kind of organize my thoughts. Instead of just like carrying around being a whiny bitch with me, I'll be a whiny bitch to my journal for a little bit. And it's kind of nice. And it's nice to write other than for like comedy. And it's kind of nice that they help you with like some prompts and shit, and like how are we gonna move forward from here thing. Where like in therapy once, the lady's like, do you write like a journal? It's like, oh, I write all the time. I have a notebook for writing jokes and whatnot. She's like, do you write anything other than jokes? And I was like, oh no, who wastes time doing that? I would never do that. She had me get like a separate notebook just to like write about feelings 2 or 3 times a day to get them in order and like track how I'm feeling. Where this, I think, is more doable for me. I do it like once every few days. If I'm having a really good day, I want to write it down and like mark it down. If I'm having a bad angsty day, I want to sit down and write it down. And it helps to like just like see like the curve of how things are going. And it's nice. I do it like once every few days when I feel like it. I've done it like 2 or 3 days in a row at a point. I'll take a few days off. Like, I'm not like, giving myself something I have to do. I'm not doing it as homework. And I think that's the difference. But it's the Safe Journal. Zoltan Kazis' wife. It's her company. I think it's safejournal.co. If you put in the promo code Zoltan, you'll get money off, and he'll like write you a letter. They're not sponsoring the podcast. It's just something helpful if you want like a handwritten note from a person more famous than me. You can do that, and you want to save some money. But I really like it. It gives you like time. It's a very nice thing, especially with the new year. It's a good thing to add and change to. But I like had to wait until like one of the slow Linkin Park songs were done, because like Dun, 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 dun. Like those songs, like that's a good journaling song, right? Like you can get into like those angry feelings. But like the slow Linkin Park songs, like the ones that like Chester was listening to before he hung himself on the doorknob, or the Clintons hung him on the doorknob, whoever you want to blame for hanging him on the doorknob, like those slow songs, like that's like they're in your like feelings, and you're just like, I don't need to write this down. Like even I tweeted about it yesterday. It's like even paper doesn't need to feel these feelings that I'm writing right now. Like this is dark shit. Like this is where you go and you're like, do you know what? Maybe maybe it's right. Maybe that voice in the back of my head is right. It's already cold outside. Why not just like get my clothes all wet and then just go like lay in the snow and just let it take itself? And it's like a book I was reading. That's how a guy was gonna like go back in time, or like it's like a time travel book, whatever. They failed to save the world, and him and his like wife, who were trying to save the world, were down in Antarctica, where like the world ending wouldn't affect them if they failed again. And she had died like a few months before, and he like dug himself his own like grave in the snow, and that's what he did. He like was hammering whiskey, took a bunch of pills, and then was gonna like take his clothes off in like this pit that he did for himself, and just die in there with his wife, like, and not feel it, and like, cause whatever, that's what like the pills and whatnot were for. So I don't know, that's kind of beautiful and nice, but like that's also kind of like, oh, that's kind of a good idea of how to like, there's no like, hey, this was a cry for help. And big disclosure, don't kill yourself. I'm not thinking about killing myself. I like, just because it's something that you're not supposed to think about a lot. I think about suicide a lot, just because it's like, it's the final step. Like, what gets people there? It's just kind of like an overarching thought that I have. So I think about it a lot, and I like ponder it, and I get to like, what would it actually take? And I've been nowhere near that. So like and I think that's a healthy thing to do, of be like, how close are we to this? And it's like, okay, still nowhere near close to that. I think that's a good thing to know about yourself. So instead of not thinking about it, or it's kind of like fucking racism or violence, like not talking about it makes it fester and boil. Not thinking about it just makes it like, oh, this is a surprising thought of I should kill myself, of like, oh no, but we've had that thought before, and we know that we're nowhere close to doing that. And if you have no idea what that is about, then I don't know, maybe that section's not for you. But there's a subset of people who know exactly what I'm talking about, and they appreciate that. But it was like, that was like the feeling that I was having listening to the slow Linkin Park song. It's like, I don't need to write that down anywhere. Because then if something happens where like I accidentally like fall asleep while driving in my car or something, and like accidentally asphyxiate from like the carbon in the exhaust, like I don't need that on paper of like, well, he was thinking about it anyways. It's like, no, I'm not like, I don't need to write that down. We'll wait for another angsty, mean song to come on instead of like a heartfelt thing. And I think that was a good thing. Because I got like the angst out. I feel much better today after bitching about it yesterday and purging it out of my system there. But like, maybe if you're going to journal to music, or you're going to journal to like certain prompts, maybe don't wait until you're the right frame of mind, because obviously you want to deal with those feelings. That's how I found out. Like, you don't want to ignore those feelings. Like, feel the feelings, but maybe don't catalog those ones, because you don't need that. You never know what's going to be there. Like, and I overshare online, like a lot, and I'm perfectly fine with being cringy online to share my mental health problems and stuff like that, and I think more people should. It'll show other people that like other people are having problems and are moving along with it, and there's a line to it. I don't ever go, hey, I'm sad today, so treat me differently. It's like, hey, I'm sad today, I'm still going to get my shit done. If you need something from me, hit me up. I'm still going to get things done, but I'm going to be a little bitch while I do it. And I think that's important that you know that. Like, if I come at you with like a weird attitude, it's not you, it's me. It's the fucking seasons. Fucking Mercury's in retrograde or whatever. I did see something that like a 15 on the 20th. So like, here's to 5 more days or 4 more days from when you hear this. That like, the moon, like Pluto will be out of some sort of moon cycle or some shit, for people, I don't know, people who are like Arieses or some shit like that. Pluto will be out of a thing, ending a 15-year cycle from '08 to 2023. And I know that like that doesn't make sense because it's 2024, but it says that on the 20th of this month, that's when Pluto will be out of this moon cycle. So, like, all of your rewards that you, like, all of what you've reaped, you can sow. So, like, hopefully that's the good side of things. I mean, it's not like we've ever done anything bad or thoughtless over the last 15 years of our lives. You know, like nothing careless we've ever done of like, man, I really hope this doesn't come back to bite me. And I can't think of like anything off the top of my head, but I'm 100%, like I've been sober for 4 years now. All right. And from 18, for those last 15 years, I've been drunk 2/3 of them. So I'm pretty sure that I've made some bad decisions that might like somebody might pop up with like, and I don't put up enough like prolific numbers in the boudoir for this to happen. I think I would know by now if I had a secret kid, but who knows? Like a random 15-year-old might like pop out of like the ether and be like, hey, this is what you reaped, fucking, or this is what you sowed 15 years ago while Pluto was in the moon cycle. So we'll see what happens after the next 4 days. It's not like I'm waiting for it, but it's just happened. I'm doing my part. I'm sending a USB chip, a USB saving, a USB drive to Saturn with my name on it through NASA. So like I'm doing my part to counterbalance this, but I don't think it'll reach there in time. So I don't know if like maybe I get caught. Ooh, there was one time. I think it's past the statute of limitations, and it was in a different state. And prove it, really. I did find an envelope. You know, at like some ATMs, and I'm not gonna say where it was because then it'd be easier to figure it out. But I was in college. You know how like ATMs have like a night deposit box where you can like throw money into it, and then it'll like deposit the next day. Well, there was an ATM that my buddy was using when I was in college, and while he was like messing around with the ATM, I was like fucking with the night deposit box, and an envelope with like $100 fell out of it, and I kept that $100. So like maybe that'll come through, and I'll like end up like if I end up going to jail in Ohio for like bank robbery, then that's what I sowed 15 years ago. It would have been about 15 years ago, too. Jesus Lord. So maybe that's what's coming up. But I think it's supposed to be something positive. Okay. Dates and whatnot. Yeah, we hit everything. Linkin Park Journaling, Sheboygan, The Cold. We even did 5 minutes on the Barons family. Shout out the Barons family. Pulling up my calendar, not checking emails. It's Martin Luther King Day today. Martin Luther King Jr. today. Shout out him. Sorry for the FBI, brother. You were gone too quick. They got Fred Hampton Jr. as well. They got fucking Malcolm X, even though they said that it was like Muslim fanaticists or whatever. This weekend, this Friday, I'm in Oshkosh. At Bare Bones Brewery. That'll be an interesting one. Timber Hill Winery next Thursday. Cardinal Bar in Madison on the 27th. Then February, gonna be in Erie, PA. Then Brooklyn, New York. So that'll be super fun. And then I added a date in March, so and April. So we're adding shit to the calendar here, so please add me to your show if you know somebody who's running something and wants to be on the show. I think I got a pretty good heads up that I'll probably be in Detroit soon. I didn't get like a hey, you're booked, but I got a hey, if you end up getting booked here, you have a place to stay message from friend of the old podcast. Did Amber Maida? I think she was on the old like the like OG episodes with Joe of Comedy Mushroom Cult. So cool. That's coming up. WhoisRayRoberts.com, patreon.com/were, WIRR, for Coffee Club, Podcast Club, for the video. Or if you just want to give me $3 a month, I would love that as well. So please do all of those. Thank you so much. We're going to click over to the Patreon here for the song, and I'm not going to fuck it up this week. If you're on the audio, you don't know anything about it, but if you're on the video, you know everything about it, and it took me twice as long to post it because of that. So if you want to be privy to more fuck-ups and music, go over to patreon.com/WIRR. It's $5 a month. no ads. There's no ads in it right now, but I can't promise that in the future. And you get the song, and you get to see my stupid face. We fucked it up again, somehow. If you just minimize the camera, it stops? What the fuck? What a dumb technology. We're gonna have to find a better way of doing this, because like this makes everything take twice as long. But that's okay. You guys are worth it. That's what you're paying me for. Green Day's coming out with a new album at the end of this week. I don't want to put that up, any of like the new songs, because they'll probably be watching that hardcore. Even though they should. Just pulled a weird hair out of the pillow. That happens when we wash the covers, because like we live in an apartment building, and like it has like a shared thing with the like a shared laundry room, so like random hairs will get in there, and like they're not even like people colored. I don't even know what that means. But like I just pulled one. Like everybody in this house has brown hair, and I wouldn't even say this was like a blonde hair. It was just like a weird, I don't know, off color, sandy colored hair. But anyways, Green Day. Obviously, they're great. They've been around forever. But the song we're going to go with is a Foxborough Hot Tub song, when they were doing like an offshoot thing, which is what I love about Green Day, is they'll do these offshoot things from time to time. Like when Blink-182 broke up for a minute, and like there was like Boxcar Racer and Plus 44 and Angels and Airwaves and all that shit. They kind of did the same thing, but like with the whole band. So this is Foxborough Hot Tubs. The song's called Broadway. So enjoy that, and we will talk to you next week.